Hello, and thank you so much for volunteering for our 15th annual Downtown Living Tour, which is scheduled for Saturday, September 25th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. My name is Marika Trier. I serve as the Executive Director of the Downtown Committee of Syracuse, and we are a not-for-profit organization whose mission is downtown's revitalization, and the Downtown Living Tour is one of the events that we run to raise awareness about the amazing things happening in downtown Syracuse. This tour allows us to showcase the residential development that has been transforming the downtown district. For many years, downtown was known only as an employment center, but for the past 15 years, we've seen a significant amount of growth in residential activity as well. So these are underutilized office spaces or vacant buildings. We're fortunate to have a lot of our historic structures still intact. The Downtown Living Tour showcases the renovation of these spaces and conversion into residential apartments, lofts, condominiums, live workspaces. We've got a wide variety of housing to offer in downtown Syracuse. Our downtown Syracuse housing occupancy rate is close to 99%. So what that means is as fast as developers are building these apartments, there are oftentimes waiting lists for people looking to move into the apartments. So the Downtown Living Tour is our once a year opportunity to showcase the residential development that oftentimes people don't get a chance to see. We've got a lot of historic buildings still here in downtown Syracuse. And so as they're renovated, people don't necessarily see new structures going up, so they may not be aware of the amount of apartments and residents that downtown Syracuse now houses. And we're proud to say that we are now over 4,000 residents that reside in the 13202 district, which is an exciting benchmark to have achieved. Our Downtown Living Tour event each year helps us raise the awareness of these housing activities. And without the help of our volunteers, this event truly would not be possible. Many of you have been with us from the very beginning, so you know the drill, and you know what a fun day this can be. And our volunteers are awesome. They're rock stars. We appreciate everything that they do to help put downtown Syracuse in its best light during our Downtown Living Tour. So along with this Zoom recording, which we're going to go over some of the general volunteer instructions, you're also going to receive an actual hard copy of volunteer instructions as well, in addition to a set of instructions that will be specific to your assigned duties. So I'm going to go over some of these instructions with you now. Last year's event and this year's event, we made some changes to the typical operation, again, so we could comply with the COVID health and safety guidelines. So for this year's event, we are requiring that masks be worn indoors at all times. We will have signage posted throughout the building to display occupancy in elevators or occupancy within the apartments to help us maintain social distancing. And we'll also be placing hand sanitizer and extra masks, disposable masks at each of the building's entrance. So I think now, most tourists will show up with their own mask. If they don't, we've got disposable masks that our volunteers can distribute at the building entrance. We essentially have 2 shifts of volunteers assigned for the event. Our first shift volunteers are those that are working from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And our second shift volunteers work from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., so the end of the tour. We do ask that our volunteers plan to arrive at their shift about 15 minutes ahead of time. And this is most important for our first shift volunteers because our event starts at 11. So we're asking our volunteers to check in and sort of arrive at their places by about 10:45, just to allow them to get settled in their roles and be ready for when the tour doors open at 11 a.m. We will have an information booth, which will be located in Perseverance Park, which is at the corner of Salina and Fayette Streets. So this will be a 10 by 10 downtown committee branded information booth. And here we do have some volunteers assigned to our information booth. So volunteers here will help us distribute pre-purchased tickets. They'll help us sell a select number of tickets for the day, and they'll also help us check in volunteers arriving for their shift so we know who has arrived, and we'll be heading to each of the different locations. Throughout the tour, at each of the buildings, we're also going to have a ticket checker. So what the ticket checker will do is they'll be positioned at a building's entrance, and for each tourist entering the property, they're going to look for a green wristband. So this serves as someone's tour ticket, so they don't lose it, and this allows them access into each of the properties. The ticket checker, we ask also to help us keep an eye on the sandwich board signage that will be placed outside of each tour stop. So if it blows over in the wind or it gets crooked, if we could have our ticket checker volunteer, just keep an eye on that so it stands up, people can see where the building entrance is located. Our third type of volunteer are those volunteers that are stationed inside the building. So these could be volunteers inside an apartment, which are there to watch over the belongings. We ask that tourists, because we'll be inside someone's own residence in some of these cases versus a model unit. So we ask that tourists don't open the drawers, they don't go into the refrigerator, that they respect the space around them. We'll also have volunteers assigned in lobbies or in hallways, things like that, just to help tourists navigate the building or identify if there's multiple apartments to see within the building. We want to make sure tourists know what they can see at each of the different locations. Each property will have its own property contact on site. So they'll be there to meet you in the beginning. Oftentimes they'll still be within the building. And at the end of the shift, the property contact will be there to relieve our volunteers just so they can lock up the apartment, lock up the building. So we do ask our volunteers to please don't leave the building unless the property contact has arrived to relieve you of your duties. If they do not arrive, or if your volunteer who's supposed to take over for your shift does not arrive, we've provided numbers for you to call to get in contact with any of the downtown committee staff to help you out. A few other safety items we wanted to share with you. Please be aware of any kind of safety concerns. And this is if there's tripping hazards you notice around you, just please point those out to tourists so they can have safe passageway through. If needed, we do have a first aid kit and an accident report form located at our information booth. So please, you can call us if that's needed, or you can send people to our information booth if they need a Band-Aid or something like that. In the event of any kind of medical, fire, police, or safety concern, please call 911. And then you're going to want to call one of our downtown committee staff members to alert them to an issue, just so we can be aware and help to address the situation. We do like to remind our volunteers that please do not attempt to administer any kind of medical assistance or transport any of the victims unless 911 asks you to do so. And in the event of any kind of accident, volunteers do not have the authority to promise any kind of compensation or admit liability on behalf of the downtown committee or the property owner. So if anything happens, please just give us a call and let us know, and our staff will be there to take care of it. In the event that a tourist becomes confrontational or has a complaint, and this rarely happens, but in the event that this does happen, please direct them to the information booth where they can talk to one of our downtown committee staff, or feel free to give us a call and we can also show up and address the situation. A couple of other considerations we wanted to share with you. To please remember that we are guests in these buildings, so oftentimes these are people's homes. So we're asking people to please behave accordingly, respect the space around them. Inside each of the tourist materials that they receive, they're going to receive their wristband. They're going to receive a tour program guide, which is an overview of where all the stops are located. It also has a map on the back to help them navigate to this different tour stops throughout the event. They're also going to have with them a set of shoe covers, which they'll slip on over their shoes when they're inside a unit. They'll reuse these just to keep dirt and debris off the floors within the buildings. Bathrooms is a question we get often. So tourists are not able to use the bathrooms in our tour stops. However, they are able to visit the tour rest stop, which is St. Paul's Church, located on the corner of Fayette and Montgomery Streets. That's our official tour rest stop where people can go in, sit down, relax, enjoy some cookies and cider, use the bathroom, but also check out the beautiful architecture of the church. And we also have the ability to use restrooms at Epicuse, which is located on the 300 block of South Salina Street. That's a downtown grocery store. We often hear that people make a day out of the tour. So, throughout the event, they may be touring some apartments, but then stopping for coffee or for desserts or an appetizer or lunch or dinner. So it's a really fun day for downtown. So people, will oftentimes use bathrooms during one of their stops for food or beverage or things like that. And I also want to point out inside the program guide, in addition to a write-up on the tour stops, in addition to the map, which directs people to where they need to go, there's also a page of downtown deals. So these are specials that our downtown businesses are offering discounts, promotional activities, that type of thing on the day of the tour. So we want to make sure our tourists are aware of that. We ask that no food or beverage besides bottled water is brought inside of the buildings. This is again just to prevent any kind of accidental spillage or things like that. Please wait to the end of your shift to eat or drink, and we also ask for no smoking on site either. The goal of the tour is to promote downtown Syracuse, and we know you guys will be awesome at this. And so we're again just asking our volunteers to be positive about downtown Syracuse. Children in the tour, children are allowed to accompany adults on the tour. We're just not able to bring strollers inside the building. So if children do come in and there is a stroller, the stroller just has to stay outside of the building. On your information sheet, we do provide in red a series of different phone numbers you can call, in addition to some fun facts at the bottom of the page that just give you stats about downtown Syracuse and just interesting informational tidbits that we find people tend to ask about. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to anyone on our downtown committee staff. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you again so much for volunteering to help us run the 15th event. We're so happy to be able to celebrate it again this year with you. I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday, September 25th. Thank you.